Rotterdam, #1 world port. A city where people both live and work. A city bustling with activity. The port of Rotterdam is one vast business where work is carried out round the clock. The port of Rotterdam has an important task, coordinating the import and export of numerous goods to and from Europe. Rotterdam is often referred to as the gateway to Europe, with access to some 800 million people. Rotterdam became the world's #1 port in 1962, more than 30 years ago. It has continued to develop and attract new business over the years, so that today it is still the largest port in the world. These developments become clear as we follow a number of products. Our container story begins in America. We're going to follow a container filled with circuit boards for copying machines, destined for Rotterdam. These are transported from Tacoma, right across America, to the port of New York. The cargo is then shipped on the Martian Maersk via England to Rotterdam. When loading the containers, account has already been taken of the destination, temperature control, and the presence of dangerous substances. The Martian Maersk takes 9 days to sail to Rotterdam. In Rotterdam, they've been informed well in advance of the ship's arrival and have received all relevant information concerning the vessel. At the Port Coordination Center, they know its draft, its unloading height, its wind current sensitivity, if it carries any dangerous cargo, etc. At the Transshipment Company, ECT, where the ship will be discharged and loaded, they know exactly which containers have to go where, and preparations are made to ensure that the new cargo is ready and waiting. Every hour that the ship spends in port means extra costs. 30 kilometers off the coast. The captain informs the traffic control station of the expected time of arrival.
Mars approach, this is Martian Maersk.
Martian Maersk.
Call sign Oscar Whiskey Delta Quebec 2. Do you eat over?
Merchant Maersk, Oscar Whiskey Delta Quebec 2, quotation Mars approach. What is your maximum draft?
My draft is 10 meters over.
What is your ETA for the pilot station?
My
ETA at the pilot is 0500, 0500.
You can proceed. Call again Mike Whiskey number 3, please.
Yes, I have to call at Mike Whiskey 3.
This information is fed into the computer, so that not only the Port Coordination Center, but also the pilot service and the tugs are fully informed. Entering the port is a controlled routine. Pilot, tugs, and the traffic control service continually provide information, advice, and coordination. The port of Rotterdam is a busy port, a place of intense activity. Around 80,000 sea ships and some 360,000 inland vessels call at this port every year. The quick and safe handling of the shipping traffic is possible through the VTS, the Vessel Traffic System. There are radar stations at 26 locations in the port, so that every ship can be constantly followed. They form the eyes and ears of the port. In combination with computers and people, they ensure that the Port of Rotterdam is a very safe port, in all weather conditions. We continue to follow the Martian Maersk. It has now been piloted in, and is about to berth at the Delta terminal on the Maasvlakte. This terminal is located directly on the sea, so that ships have quick access to the port, even the largest ones. After customs formalities have been completed, unloading can begin. Each container has a code and is allocated a predetermined place on the site, depending on its next destination. In 1992, the majority of these containers were transported all over Europe by road. The rest went by ship, barge and rail. Our container is being picked up by truck. The operator knows via the infrared system which container to fetch. The circuit boards are going to a so-called Distripark in Rotterdam, where there are specialized companies engaged in the distribution of goods throughout Europe. One of the developments is that Rotterdam wants to be more than just a place where cargo is loaded and unloaded. It wants to be more than a transit port, and achieves this by doing more with the goods, by processing, packing, checking and storing, increasing work and creating new job opportunities. Rotterdam is the added value port. Rotterdam has several different Distriparks, naturally in the vicinity of large container terminals. This company turns our circuit boards into a finished product, destined for somewhere in Europe. Our chemical story starts right here in Rotterdam. This giant tanker has just berthed at the Europort terminal. It has come from the Persian Gulf and has taken 3 weeks to sail to Rotterdam. When unloading a tanker, static electricity can be generated. In an oxygen-rich atmosphere, this could result in an explosion. Before the tanker is pumped empty, the Rotterdam Municipal Port Management's Department of Dangerous Substances checks whether the space above the cargo is low in oxygen. The oil is transferred into storage tanks. This process is controlled from the control room. The petrochemical industry is a very important branch of the industry in the port. Since the port is easily accessible due to the depth of its navigable water, more and more companies have set up business here. The petrochemical and chemical companies are linked with each other via pipelines. There are also important pipelines to Germany and Belgium. The oil is then pumped from the storage tanks to the refinery for its first processing treatment. There are 5 of these in Rotterdam. A refinery needs to be flexible because around 40 different types of crude oil are imported annually, depending on the market. In the refinery, different products are made from crude oil. This may be done, for instance, by distillation, by heating the oil to 350 degrees Celsius. The distillation process produces the following substances: lubrication and fuel oil, diesel, kerosene, naphtha, which is the principal ingredient of petrol, and gases, such as LPG, etc. The lubrication and fuel oils usually undergo further processing to achieve a high-quality product. Diesel and petrol pass through the usual channels to the consumer. The kerosene is mainly used at airports. Ethane goes underground to the chemical industry, to the so-called reactor. Ethane mixed with other substances forms the raw material for this plant. Ethane molecules are linked in the reactor. This creates polythene, which is then sent to the plastic processing industry for numerous applications. A vast number of food products are grown, sold, and then transported worldwide. A seaport with some 800 million people in its hinterland plays an important role in this process. Rotterdam has set up a special citrus fruit terminal, unique in the world. At this terminal, the very largest ships are unloaded within 16 hours using special pallet cranes. When you are dealing with perishable products, it is a question of speed and climate control. On leaving the ship, the fruit disappears into a large temperature-controlled warehouse. The terminal is currently in the process of being developed still further. The products are not stored for very long. The fruit auction also takes place on the same site and is held twice a week. Fruit that has been unloaded in the morning can sometimes be transported by truck to its final destination the same afternoon. The European Juice Terminal is another specialized terminal in Rotterdam. Frozen concentrated orange juice is brought from Brazil in special ships. During unloading, it is kept at a constant temperature by the use of chilled pipelines. Tanks and pipelines are really all that there is to see here. The entire process is fully automated. Depending on the wishes of the customer, the requisite concentrate can be made by mixing oil and adding pieces of fruit. This semi-manufactured product is then transported to the fruit drink industry and the consumer. The port of Rotterdam not only imports different goods, very many products from Europe are also transported via Rotterdam to all parts of the world. This is Rotterdam. Container port, district port, chemical port, food port. A port with many names. A port with added value. The world's #1 port. And if Rotterdam has a say in the matter, it is going to remain so.